Talking Cougar softball today here on the Cougar Coaches Show on Mediacom Channel 22 and on ColumbiaCougars.com. My name is Cosmo, joined by the head coach of the Cougars softball squad, Coach Wendy Spratt. Coach, welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time today. And fun to have a couple home gates out at Timmy Black last weekend. I know you guys started off the season as usual, getting the heck out of the snow and ice of mid-Missouri and off on the road for some games. Played a few ranked teams, came home and jumped right into conference play.
We did. And we had Williams Baptist right off the bat. So they won the conference last year. We're number 4 in the nation when we played them, and they really only returned one returner this year. So they weren't as good as they were last year, but it was sure fun to beat them.
And it's always good doing the other team's the one that loses that ace pitcher. I'm sure other teams said that years ago after Valerie Teeter finally graduated. They're like, thank God we don't have to look at 13 anymore. Same difference there, obviously. But and then one of the craziest 8-inning games, I think, ever. Your team had a 5-1 lead late, let that slip away. You come back and score 11 in the top of the 8th and end up with the win. Was anything said specifically in the dugout after
a lot of people have asked me that. No. I don't think they needed any motivation. I think they were bound and determined that we were going to beat Williams Baptist, and they got mad when they caught up, and they just took it out on the ball.
I mean, there was still, I think it was 1 out when it was 5-5, and they still had runners second and third, I think. So they certainly had their chances to win it in regulation in that second game.
We went through 3 pitchers at the end of the game trying to get it done.
And that's where you start losing more of this in the dugout on that kind of a game. But it does show the resilience and some senior leadership from a team to be able to bounce back quickly and take care of that in the top of the inning. Because everybody had a hand in, it seemed, that rally. I think you batted around +1 or 2.
It did, and it was hard to take a pitcher out in that situation. Taylor Richter's coming back from injury. I probably left her in there a little longer than I should have. Before that, she'd only pitched 40 pitches in a game. She was at 88 when I took her out. So that was double what she had done before. So she was having a great game, but I knew that we had to take her out. And, sometimes it's hard when a new pitcher goes in, but eventually, with all 4 of them, we got the job done. And again, we're hitting the ball well. Even against the ranked teams that we didn't beat in Gulf Shores, we hit the ball very well.
And that's obviously a huge part of it. Then on Saturday, the 2 with Lyon, another solid effort in both games. It took you a while in the first game, the second game, to finally get a run across the plate. But once you did, then you kind of broke free and ended up with the wins.
Right. It was tough in that game because we were down 1-0 until the 5th inning. So we just knew at some point we were going to break it open, but it was getting late. We had 7 more outs before we started to score. So,
as you mentioned, with the pitching staff, Taylor Richter injured last year, kind of battling back a little bit this year. Amber Bame, a sophomore, working her into the mix, and then a couple of freshmen that have seen quite a bit of time in the circle. Talk about the dynamic of what you're trying to really as a staff, kind of trying to find who's going to be that main leader.
It's kind of interesting. We have 6 pitchers. I've never had that many, and 5 of them on any given day could be a number 1. It just kind of depends on what they're doing. I thought in the fall that Amber was a sure number 1. She really worked hard and had some great games in the fall, but then she got injured and started the year off slowly. Again, we're bringing her back. She was limited in the number of innings that she could pitch as well, so she's still coming back from that injury, and I don't think she's full strength yet. So I think we'll be even better once she gets back to full strength. Lauren, the freshman, again, same thing, battle and injury, limited innings. So while we were in Gulf Shores, we were all limited innings except for Paxton and Tiffany. Mm-hmm. So we're coming back off those. We're getting healthy, and after we get Richter healthy, I think we'll be in good shape.
So a lot of time with the training staff.
Yes. But it's been interesting for me to manage. First of all, I'm used to having a pitcher go the whole game,
right,
unless there's a problem.
Right.
So to try to mix them up and match them up when there's injuries and they can only pitch so many innings, it's made me think about pitching in a whole different light. But again, I don't know who's I still think it could change, number 1 to number 5.
And maybe in some ways that's a good thing. In some regards, the opposite, you'd say, well, if you have that ace, you can lean on and pitch both games of a doubleheader and hope the first one only goes 5 or whatever, and then get more use out of them. More battle tested for a stretch run.
I don't think we have a workhorse. Val was a workout horse. There aren't many pitchers that can go 2 games throughout the year and do what she did. So
somebody asked me the other day, actually at the doubleheader on Saturday, they said there's only Jarks is the only player that's from Illinois. Everybody else is Missouri. Is that by design? I said, well, To some degree, probably, but not, obviously if there's a player opportunity to get somebody from Portland, you're going to get them. It's just a matter of the way it's lined up. But in some ways, we've talked on this show, not just with yourself, but with Bob Burchard and Mike Davis, how Columbia College Athletic Department and the sports teams are really like a family base. And really your team is a huge example of that with so many.
Definitely. And,
connected.
Jeff City's been a huge recruiting area for us. We've really gotten a lot of girls from Blair Oaks and Jeff City. We had a pipeline to California for a while, and, we still talk to some kids out there. But it's difficult for me because I'm taking a chance on the kids that are out of state. Mm-hmm. I have 2 coming in next year from out of state, from Illinois. But again, they get homesick, and that takes up a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And the kids from Missouri generally can work through their homesickness because they know they get to go home on the weekends.
Right.
The kids from California get to go home at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that's kind of rough. So
it's a battle, and for sure especially with the dynamic of the 4, the prime of the seniors from Jefferson City with oh my goodness, Hayes at third base, and then Kristen Eichen and Whitney Howell and Taylor Richter playing since T-ball days with each other and then against each other in high school, and now they're going to go overseas this I guess this summer. Talk a little bit about. That's got to be kind of cool for you to see these kids be able to grow their college careers and then expand on it afterwards.
Yeah, it's been really great to have them. They've all started all 4 years on some level, and they are planning a trip to Italy, I believe. Whitney went last year and had a great time, but she didn't know anybody, so this year she's taking some friends along.
Bring reinforcements. Yeah. Bring a shortstop that can give me the ball at second base. That's and that's something we've talked about too. That basically your entire infield the last 2 years, but for those 3, the entire left half, and that's a huge part of the dynamics. There's really not a whole lot of learning curve to get up to speed on knowing each other around the horn.
With Jamie at first, it's a really, really solid infield. And I look sometimes when I see Marley field the ball, because when Marley fields the ball, it's going to be an out. Yeah. With some third baseman, you don't know where the ball's going to go. Yeah. It's been a comfort for 4 years. So
most definitely.
We're really going to miss that.
And Eichen, so far, this year at home, I think her throw across to first is even harder than it has been before, and more accurate. I think she's really improved.
And they're both really hitting the ball better than they've ever hit the ball.
Yeah, Kristen. Yeah, I was going to say, Kristen with 3 home runs already. I don't know if Kristen's ever led over Marley in the home run count before or not, but no, she's got it now. Let's hope she still does and keeps it going. The Cougars a busy schedule with games coming ahead. We'll talk about your spring break trip coming up. And the battle in conference right now sitting at 4-0, won 4 games in a row. Always good to have a 0 in the loss column, but a big battle with rival William Woods coming ahead. We'll talk about that and more about the Cougar softball program. Again, the home games out at Timmy, part of the Parks and Rec fields out there at Cosmo Park. And the home games, a full schedule of Cougar games online at ColumbiaCougars.com. Back with more of the coach after this on ColumbiaCougars.com and Mediacom Channel 22.